Beach FM, locals talking to locals.
And my pleasure to welcome to the program once again the Mayor of the Horowhenua, Bernie Wanden. Good morning to you, Bernie.
Good morning, John. How are you and all your listeners? I hope are well.
Well, I think we are. I think we're holding up pretty well. Speaking personally, I am, surprisingly so. And I must say, I'm quite encouraged with the way the country and the district have performed in the last month or so. I think we're entering into slightly uncharted territory. Well, it's all uncharted territory, but a new phase of the uncharted territory with level 3. What is your impression of how the district has reacted to the situation?
And as you say, in general, I think we've been coping extremely well. All the reports that I've had back from social welfare, from police and from council have been very complimentary about the way the vast majority of the community has reacted to lockdown. Look, I can completely understand that after 5 weeks we are probably getting a little antsy and a little frustrated at being locked up in our homes, but reality is that we obviously have to keep doing this. But yeah, look, I'm as both a mayor and and a small business owner. I've got my foot in 2 different camps and in a lot of ways in this. But look, we seem to be adjusting really well.
We certainly do, and I believe that we had a statement from you this morning saying the district deserved a pat on the back for the efforts, but you sort of worry a wee bit that as the rules begin to loosen slightly, that maybe there's a temptation to run wild, and this is not the time to run wild, is it?
No, it's not the time to run wild, but I think there does need to be a little perspective brought to the situation, and that, look, I can completely understand where they don't want big crowds and they don't want lots of people out and about at different things. But there are the realities of life for especially a lot of our older residents and some of our more vulnerable members of our communities is that they do need to actually be able to pay their bills, get their food, and a little easier than they are at the moment. And I think, we've done really well, and I can understand completely why they don't want the large crowds and everything. But I think there could be, if we had the protocols and processes in place that these people were able to get around, I think we could do it a little easier.
Let's hope so. Let's hope we can get as close to normal as possible. But it's not normal, is it? These are extraordinary times. And if we can talk a bit about the council, I imagine that there's a lot of thought going into the recovery and how we get there, because I imagine that the financial challenges at the moment must be absolutely enormous.
They are. Look, we had a consultation go out for our annual plan just before lockdown. The reality is that that's probably going to look quite different when we adopt that at the end of June. So on Wednesdays, have a finance meeting. There are a number of things we are looking to do in the short term, and that's mainly around rates postponement, getting rid of rates penalties, making sure that our fees are not going to be added to and things like that. But it's more the medium term and the long term that we are starting to already focus on. And the reality is that will be shaped a lot by government and the strategies and sort of support that they give us in various infrastructure projects that we might be able to do. But there's also a lot happening regionally. All the territorial authorities in the Horizons District have got together, forming an economic recovery group. And locally we're doing it as well. We've instituted a financial resilience party, which is looking at all the things that we can do locally. And there's a number of strategies and plans that we've got in mind, but will take a little time to develop.
there seems to be a lot of cooperation, or at least conversation going on, mayors across the wider Manawatu area, in fact, the wider area. There seems to be a lot of conversations, and I imagine that this term shovel-ready projects has been mentioned. I imagine that there'll be several projects coming from this area to try and soak up some of the government funding and to keep our people in as much employment as possible.
Oh, for sure. Look, central government and local government have a huge role to play in stimulating the economy, making sure that there are projects that can be done and that jobs are available. And that is the dilemma that we face. We recognise that for a big part of the population, those that either lose their jobs or have their hours cut or their wages cut, and those that are more vulnerable than others will probably struggle quite a bit. But there is also a need to ensure that we do contribute, if you like, to the local economy by stimulating it through projects and making sure that all the essential services are kept up.
And I suppose the idea of not being draconian in terms of the rates and lessening the pressure a wee bit there is to try and keep firms and individuals as financial as possible in this rough patch.
For sure. Look, and localism is going to play a huge part in the next 6, 12, 18 months in terms of us being able to recover from this. I'm confident, though, that we have a pretty diverse economy. A lot of it is based around the farming and horticultural sectors and also the construction sectors. And I think that those especially will be able to contribute huge amounts to getting out of this recovery for the district quicker. I also hope that there'll be other sectors of the economy that will recover reasonably quickly too. Look, understanding, of course, that businesses like retail, hospitality, tourism, and others in that service sort of market will probably struggle a bit longer, and it's not this initial sort of 6 weeks to 8 weeks that we're going to have the problems, but it's going to be after that. When the wage subsidy runs out, whether our markets are still there or not is going to be a problem.
106.3 Beach FM.